Hi, how much do you know about what we do with our Santa fine art? What we do is we capture those moments from our folklore. So how do we set all this up so that you can really understand the full experience? The first thing we do, send the kids each child receives a golden package in the mail. In that package is an invitation to have milk and cookies with Santa. Also in that package is a beautiful bell off of Santa's sleigh in a red pouch. Imagine being 5 years old and getting that package in the mail. It's really quite magical. And that's the start of opening up the child's wonder. And they generally receive that anywhere from 2 to 5 days prior to the session. After that, the day that you come in, we want you to bring some things that are special to your family. So of course, if you choose, you're welcome to bring in your family Bible. But there's other things. We've had people bring in things from the past that is unbelievable. We've had 100-year-old handmade rocking horses. We've had dolls that their grandmother played with when they were kids. We've had people bring in Purple Hearts, photographs of loved ones that are no longer with us. Whatever is from your past that is nostalgic and has purpose and meaning to your family, we want you to bring it in. We have kind of a saying that's a humorous little saying. We say, whatever you choose to bring to the session we may use, and whatever you don't bring, we're not going to use. And although that sounds simple, it happens every session where someone will say, oh, what if I would have brought this? I'm like, that would have been great, but we don't have it and we're on the go. So make sure that you take the time to think about those things that are precious to you and your family and bring those along. I like to, put them in throughout the set so they don't stand out, but in a piece of artwork that's up above a mantle, someone will say, hey, isn't that grandmother's doll? Or, those kind of things, they add so much to the finished piece. Another thing that I think is quite important is you need to know that when you arrive, we take care of all of the wardrobe. So we put little boys in vintage PJs. We put little girls in vintage nightgowns. Why? Because it's the story of their dream on the night before Christmas. So they're technically sleeping. So in the artwork, we want them to look like they've woke up in their dream when they've gone to Santa's workshop. I think that's important. I'm a big believer in when you're creating a piece of artwork, you take care of every detail. And I mean every detail. So when the finished piece is done, it's exquisite. Not only is the composition perfect, but all of the story unfolds within that piece of artwork. And I think that's the big difference between what we do and what anyone else may do with Santa pictures. We're there to tell a story and tell it properly. When you arrive with the kids, you will be greeted professionally by one of our team, and they'll help you get the kids into their PJs and nightgowns. And then once that's done, they send me a little private text. And that's when I enter the room, maybe from a different doorway. And I enter and I walk around like I'm looking for someone, and I look right at you. And even though that'll be the first time you ever met me in person, I'll look right at you and I'll say, excuse me, I'm looking for 2 children that have golden tickets. Have you seen any kids that have golden tickets? Yeah, there's supposed to be a boy and a girl, I think. By that time, the 5-year-old will be jumping up and down waving their ticket, or maybe it's an 8-year-old, or maybe it's a 2-year-old. It doesn't matter. They'll have those tickets and they'll be waving them. And I'll be, no, wait a minute. What is that I see? Is that what I think it is? Is that a golden ticket? Let me see for a second. I pick up the ticket and I hold it up to a light, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Those are Santa's reindeer. Wait, there's 2 of you. Oh, you must be those children that Santa was talking about. Oh my goodness. Sit down in front of me, kids. Crisscross applesauce. I have such a magical story to tell you. And I proceed to tell the most by the way, you just met my inner child. His name is Little Larry, and he loves to give a performance to children. So I tell this magical story of how these cookies showed up in this huge present. I don't want to give away the whole thing, so I won't tell the whole story. But suffice to say, it is absolutely fun. And when I speak to the children, there is a purpose to this story. when I speak to the children, I speak in crescendos. I'm sure you've noticed that by now, that when I'm in performance, I speak in these crescendos, in this magical voice. I want the kids to follow that voice. Why? Because it's my job as not only the photographer, but the director, that when I'm in with the kids with Santa and I'm behind the camera, I have to get their expression to match the moment. And that's tricky. So let me give you an example. So maybe I will say something like, now, Santa, didn't you say that you brought something for the kids from the North Pole? And yes, the children will get something from us out of Santa's toy bag that is the most amazing gift that you've ever heard of in your life. They will each get their very own wish book that is in this beautiful pouch. It's stunning. It's something where they can, in their own printing and hieroglyphics and drawings, and write their wishes in every year. And if it's a young child that's in their first year or 6 months, mom will do it for the first couple of years, or dad. And as they grow, you'll see their advancement through their wonder years. If it's an older child, I always say with teenagers, write in there on Christmas Eve, make it a tradition that you write in your wish book the thing that you learned the most that year. But at the end of the book, and this is where it gets even more powerful, take the last dozen pages of that little book. Now, think of it, 4 inches by 5 inches. This little red leather book. Get them to take the last dozen pages and have every adult member of that child's family each take just one page and write something in ink, in pen, something that they want that child to never forget. So think about when that book is full. You'll have captured all the wonder years and magical dreams and thoughts of the child, drawings and all kinds of fun things in their handwriting, and perhaps some of the parents' handwriting. But in the back of the book, you'll have captured the wisdom of your family in handwriting. Now that will be one of the most precious things that child will ever own. We've talked to clients after a decade where I've stopped in a store the other day in a grocery store, and this young lady walked up to me and said, "Mr. Hirschberger, you photographed me when I was 6, and I still have my wish book, and it still sits beside my bed, and I've got it completely full, and I'm going to be taking it to college with me because every time I have a rough time, I read those back 12 pages. And they're so powerful to me." And you know, for me, I just choked up on that. I was like, wow, like that truly is the gift that we give to our clients, is the wisdom and wonder of their own family in handwriting. That's powerful. So in the moment that I say to Santa, "Now, didn't you say you brought something for the kids from the North Pole?" And Santa goes, "Oh, I sure did. Oh, I did. Yes, it's in my toy bag, Larry. Would you help me?" And I'm like, "Oh, wait, not your magic toy bag." "Yes, it's in my magic toy bag. Would you help me?" And I'm like, "Kids, did you hear that? Santa brought a gift from the North Pole and it's in his magic toy bag. Okay, I'll run get it. Are you sure I can get it, Santa?" And then, meanwhile, our staff and myself, we're setting up things to have the kids on either side of Santa, getting it all ready. It could be 2 children, it could be 1 child, it could be 6 children. We don't care. It's going to be magical. Imagine me going to get this toy bag, Santa getting the kids around him, and they're about to look in Santa's toy bag. So I will continue and I'll bring the toy bag over and I'll say, "No, wait a minute, Santa. You're not saying that you're going to let the kids peek in your magic toy bag?" And he's like, "Oh, I sure am. They were all in the nice book, if you remember we checked earlier." "Kids, did you hear that? Santa's going to let you peek in his toy bag. I've never even looked in the toy bag." And meanwhile, I'm back behind the camera. Imagine the wonder and that powerful energy that's in those children. When I go, okay, kids, you ready? Santa, are you ready? "Oh, I'm ready. Okay, kids, you ready to peek in the toy bag? Okay, quick." I'm like, "Kids, quick, peek, tell me what's in there." You can feel it right now. I know you can. I can. It's there's nothing like the wonder of a child. So when those kids reach over and their neck stretches out and they peek, bang, I get that shot. They have followed the crescendos of my voice and the magic of my stories. And Santa and I, we worked years together, and we work hand in hand in unison. So he knows those moments. It's all pre-choreographed. And that's what allows us to move from one thing to the next thing, to the next thing, to the next thing, before you know it. And you will want to be there. The grandparents will want to be there, because it'll be something to witness that you'll have never seen in your whole life. You'll have tears that'll come down your face in both joy and this beautiful feeling of nostalgia. To watch this happen and see it over and over and over, all these different sequences that we do. These are different things from our folklore. I mean, you thought about it. You've dreamed of looking in Santa's toy bag. I know it. Male or female, it doesn't matter. We all did. And that's what's beautiful about this. It touches us all. So for us, in order to get this done, not only is it a full professional set with beautiful lighting, but it's going to take an hour to an hour and a half. And hey, side note, special needs, children with special needs, we welcome them. We absolutely do. We have a beautiful child of our own that has Down syndrome. And she's already done 2 Santa sessions, and she was incredible. It's just about patience and love. And you will hear and see a lot of that with us when we're working with children, because we worked with children for the last 30 years, and we're good at it. And we give children love and patience and kindness, and a lot of wonder, and a lot of excitement, and a lot of magic. Now, you might think, how do you get even the youngest child, like a 6-month-old child or a 2-month-old child, to engage for every one of these different sequences and different pieces of art? It's got to be some kind of Photoshop trick. No, it's not. It's called communication, and it's called using my voice. And Santa does certain things that are that's a little tricky. For example, can you imagine when Santa says, okay, I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of magic. And I'm like, no, you're going to put magic right onto their toy list of every toy they've ever dreamed of? Oh my goodness, did you hear that, kids? And Santa reaches into his little pouch, and he lifts up this magic and goes to sprinkle it. So when it starts to glow, I'm like, oh, no, kids, look, it's starting to glow. If you were a little kid, whether you were 2 months old or 10 years old, and I love when a 10 or 11-year-old that says they don't believe anymore looks up and sees the magic actually glow, and they're like, oh. I've had kids look at their parents and go, Mom, I think he's actually real. And I love that. That's what it's about. It's about drawing out this wonder and having that wonder match the moment. I can do all the artwork afterwards when I have it in post in Photoshop. All of the ambiance that has to happen, and the magic and the sparkles and whatnot. It's not just dropping a layer on. There's a lot of artwork that happens to bring each piece to life. But it has to start with really great, solid, fundamentally solid and sound lighting. It's got to have all the fundamentals of art already in place. And as a lifelong painter and artist, I understand all these fundamentals. And all of these details are put into place prior, so that I'm only enhancing what's already a solid image to create the final piece of artwork. Now, that's the beauty of what we do. There's so much more to it than first meets the eye. The experience is world class, but it's an experience that is done and created specifically to create a storybook set to poetry, and these are beautiful storybooks. I mean, they are a thing of beauty. They're meant to last the test of time. And same with our artwork, whether it's a painting like this one or a printed photograph or like that one, they will last the test of time. They're meant to be, they're archival. They're meant to last for generations and be handed down. And that's exciting to me. So many things are created these days that are just throwaway. We're not that place. We're not that studio. Yes, we are photographers, yes. Understood. But please understand, the photography is only one aspect of this whole piece of art. There's the acting, right? There's the communication skills. There is the set design. there is the lighting, there is the photography, there is the post artwork, painting digitally, and then there's also physically hand painting of oil if you choose. This was a bit of me drawing back the curtain and giving you a glimpse of behind the scenes. Can you imagine your child in this artwork and your own storybook to read for generations? We look forward to hearing from you to go over the details that are appropriate for your family.